A Japanese man in bright pajamas wakes up in a large white room with no windows or doors. He notices a suspicious bulge on one of the walls. When the man presses the bulge, hundreds of giggling cherubs appear from the walls. They quickly disappear, leaving behind many identical bulging buttons. The man smells the finger he used to press the button. This stage is called learning. The Japanese man calls for help, but no one answers. He presses different buttons. Random objects fall out of the walls, from a toothbrush to a large vase. Pressing the same button produces the same object. That's how the man gets a pile of chopsticks. The Japanese man presses the neighboring button, and a cart rolls right into his legs. The next button turns into a butt and immediately releases a foul-smelling gas into his face. After several hours, the room is filled with different objects. The man accidentally hits one of the buttons with a ball, and sushi flies out of the walls. Finally, he can eat. He only lacks soy sauce. No one responds to his request to throw him some. He presses the neighboring buttons, and sushi falls out again. The Japanese man eats all of it dry. He presses a button and finally gets soy sauce. The next press grants him a pair of old 3D glasses. After putting them on, the man sees a cherub pointing at its own button. The Japanese man jumps with joy, confident he has solved the room's mystery. However, pressing the button starts a countdown, after which a massive butt appears above him. After several hours, the Japanese man reads several volumes of manga. He asks the room for the 6th volume, but the 7th appears instead. Other buttons give him the 8th and 9th volumes, but not the 6th. The next button briefly opens a passage to a door. The man realizes this too late, panics, and forgets which button he pressed. After the next press, an aborigine runs from one wall to another, and then water pours onto the poor man's head. Finally, he finds the correct button, but the passage closes as soon as the Japanese man runs toward it. Another attempt, same result. The man realizes the passage stays open only while the button is held down. He runs quickly to the door, but still doesn't make it in time. His ideas with a fly swatter, a jump rope, and a fan don't work either. The Japanese man sits on the cart, also useless. The heavy vase can't hold the button down. The prisoner tries filling the vase with water, but the clever stream always pours directly onto his head. He fills the vase with sushi instead. Now the poor man can't even lift it. His hand doesn't fit into the narrow neck. So he takes chopsticks and slowly frees the vase. After several hours, the man frees the vase halfway and drags it with great effort. But once again, he forgets the correct button. The Japanese man presses randomly. An aborigine steps out of the wall, kicks the vase, and it splits into 2 halves. Furious, the man tries plugging the button with rice. He tries taping it with duct tape and even uses a metal plate. It doesn't work. On top of that, he gets slammed in the back by a spring-loaded panel. The poor guy gulps down painkillers and falls asleep. Upon waking, he decides to brush his teeth. He presses a button to collect water, but presses the wrong one. Instead, a rope now hangs from the ceiling. The Japanese man forms a plan. Open the passage and quickly swing to the door using the rope. Unfortunately, the door is locked, and the poor man gets slammed in the back again. In despair, he kicks the wall, presses a random button, and a levitating golden key appears in the middle of the room. When the Japanese man approaches, the button pops back out, and the key disappears. Shocked, he forgets which button activated the key. The next button releases another angry dog. On the 3rd attempt, the man guesses correctly. He takes sushi, places it on the button, and presses it. But again, he receives an angry dog. The next button brings out the key. The Japanese man holds it down using sushi. He wants to swing on the rope to reach the buttons, but can't reach the walls from it. Falling to the floor, the Japanese man sees a plunger he can finally use to reach and press the wall. On the 2nd attempt, he succeeds. With the plunger, he opens the passage, grabs the key, and unlocks the door. However, he notices another combination lock at the top of the door. The poor man rushes back and gets hit in the back again. In anger, he throws the plunger and activates the aborigine button. As the tribesman walks across the room, the prisoner notices 3 numbers on his forehead. The man has to activate the buttons 3 times to open the combination lock. On the 3rd try, he manages to pry the door open slightly. But at that moment, the passage closes, trapping the poor man in a narrow space between the wall and the door. There is no way out. All he can do is lie on the floor and cry, remembering how many opportunities and discoveries the first large room gave him. The Japanese man feels a breeze coming from one of the walls and easily pushes it aside. He runs through an endless corridor in complete darkness. It seems to last an eternity. When the man finally reaches another room, his hair appears longer than before, and the colors of his pajamas have faded. The room is empty, just like the first. The passage behind him closes almost immediately. Angels are visible on the walls again. Only this time they are adults. They disappear, leaving behind identical buttons. This stage is called practice. Meanwhile, the family of young Antonio worries about his wrestler father, who seems deeply troubled by something. His wife believes it's because of today's fight and his young opponent. But the grandfather insists that experience matters more than youth. Antonio's sister Karen drives the wrestler, nicknamed the Snail Man, in a pickup truck. Before the fight, he changes clothes and prays. In school, classmates bully Antonio and the Snail Man, calling the boy's father a loser. Karen drives Antonio and their grandfather to the fight so they can support their relative in the ring. The family barely manages to take their seats in the stands. First to enter is the team Northern Rude Boys, composed of the fighters Super Devil and Tequila Joe. Then Silver Eagle and Snail Man appear. Their team is called Kiss Me Harder. Silver Eagle enters the ring first, but the sneaky opponents gang up on him 2-on-1 and beat him down. The Rude Boys call Snail Man into the ring, but the man refuses to break the rules. Silver Eagle, catching the moment, forces the enemies to hit each other and crawls out of the ring. Snail Man enters, and the Rude Boys begin beating him. The opponent prepares to strike the fighter with a chair. At that moment, the Japanese man presses a button. Snail Man's head stretches out and knocks out both opponents. Nothing happens in the room, so the prisoner keeps pressing the button again and again. Snail Man knocks out Silver Eagle, the referee, and Antonio, the Japanese man, tries pressing other buttons. After the first press, a rock musician at a concert in Los Angeles breathes fire. After the second, a magician in Russia botches a disappearing woman trick. After the third, a man in China barks at his dogs. The prisoner looks up. There is no ceiling. Angels hover high above. The man decides to climb up the walls. With each button press, something happens on the ground, from beautiful flowers appearing to elephants dying. The buttons affect the human world as well. Astronauts land on the moon, buildings collapse, and the most ordinary things happen. The higher he goes, the longer the Japanese man's hair and facial hair grow. He no longer needs to cling to the walls. He floats in the air like the angels. The man now triggers not random events. He decides, like a god, what event should happen on our planet. Near the end of his ascent, he is surrounded by countless feathers. A glowing portal leads the man into the final room. Continent shapes of Earth appear on the wall. Right in front of the traveler is a huge button he is about to press. This stage is called the future. How did you like the movie symbol? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.